your path demands you to walk through hell,
And I'm feeling
walk in as if you own the place.
Yes, I know we haven't done one of these in a while, but you need to get your head in the game, Ed. Oh, hello, my sweet tortured souls. Welcome back to Miss Violet's Underworld. I am, as always, your demon queen of pain and suffering, Miss Violet Impulse, joined by Deadhead Ed. And today, making a grand return to the Underworld, I'm going to be talking about one of my favourite franchises, The Evil Dead. Now, this is going to be one hell of an episode because I got a lot to get through. So, sit back, strap in, maybe even strap on if you like, and let's get ready for the rollercoaster ride that is the Evil Dead franchise.
It is entitled Naturan de Manto.
And so, talking about Evil Dead, the original, there's been so many now, I have to refer to it as the original, but is a seminal horror classic. The general premise and the setup, for those of you who haven't seen it, spoiler warning for this episode, if you've not seen them, go watch them, then come back and watch this. But the general premise is 5 friends go to a cabin in the woods, they find an evil book, and then all hell is unleashed, almost quite literally. They face the Deadites, an evil force in the woods. One by one, they're possessed, picked off, and our only survivor is our hero, Ashley J. Williams, played by the man, the myth, the legend, the Chin, Bruce Campbell. So, general premise of the film, like I said, that's kind of your basic setup. You've got Ash and his girlfriend Linda, joined by his sister Cheryl, his best friend Scotty, and his girlfriend Shelley. As I said, they are picked off one by one. They find a recording by a Professor Raymond Noby. He's translating a Book of the Dead that he refers to as, in the first film, Nocturnum de Monto, which changes in the second one, but we'll get to that in a minute. They play said recording, and wackiness ensues. The demons come about. We are given license. They start with Cheryl, and we have to talk about that scene. The scene with the tree, and the woman, and the... You can tell where I'm going with this. If you've seen the film, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen the film, be prepared to see something that you might not be prepared to see. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, it's one hell of a way of branching out in the dating department, that's all I'm going to say. But anyway, I think if that scene hadn't happened in this film, it might not have made the impact that it did. It was on the video nasty list back in the 80s, it was banned for a short while, and it was unbanned, but it is the directorial debut of Sam Raimi. Him, Bruce Campbell, and I think it was Rob Tappert, all went to school together. They kind of grew up together, they wanted to make films, and this was their big break. Evil Dead was their way into Hollywood, as it were, and Sam Raimi has actually said on more than one occasion that, you know, he didn't necessarily want to make a horror movie, but when you're a first-time movie maker, and pretty much anyone in Hollywood will tell you this, that horror is one of the easiest fields to get into because it's cheap, it's easy, and you mostly get a return on it. So... But yeah, the film moves along quite a clip. It's only like 90 minutes long. There's loads of special features on this DVD. It's a very old DVD. There are like updated Blu-ray box sets with better special features and stuff. But this is the copy I have. This is the one I watch. This is the one I love. But yeah, it moves along quite a clip. Ends on a big cliffhanger. Spoiler warning for everyone. Our hero Ash burns the Book of the Dead. It causes the Deadites to melt. In a fantastically done, for its budget, a fantastically done stop-motion animation scene of all the Deadites falling apart and arms coming out of them and all sorts of gory, gooey stuff. You know, the kind of shit that I'm really, really into. It ends with Bruce Campbell, the sun is rising, he walks out into the woods, and then the evil force grabs him. And then we roll credits. And that's it. No more. I'm joking, of course. But that does lead us on to the next part in our journey, and that is...
Groovy.
The Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn. Now, similar premise. Ash is in a cabin in the woods, people show up, people die, he saves the world. Okay, we know the premise at this point, but here's where things get a little bit wonky in terms of continuity, and I'll talk more about this when we get to the end of the episode. It starts with a recap of the events of the first film. Kind of. It's only him and Linda that go to the cabin in the woods. And he ends up killing her just like he did in the first one. His hand gets possessed. He cuts his... Sorry, getting ahead of myself there. Continue, Miss Violet. Up until a certain point, it's playing out a little bit like the original. Like, hold on, if he got away, why has he come back to the cabin with somebody different? And like I said, we'll talk more about continuity later on. But after he's buried Linda, it gets to the early hours of the morning. He steps out into the woods, much like the ending of the first one, gets thrown through the forest. And then a new story is told, where it's the evil force toying with Ash. And this is kind of where it as much as it's a horror comedy, it does kind of verge ever so slightly on a little bit of psychological horror, because you can see that it's playing with his mind, trying to get him to break. It possesses his hand, he cuts it off with a chainsaw. There's a wonderful, wonderful scene where he goes to fall. It's one of my favourite scenes in the entire film. He goes to sit down on a chair, and the chair collapses and breaks. And the mounted deer head on the wall kind of cocks its head at him and starts laughing uncontrollably. And then everything in the room starts laughing uncontrollably. And the bit that always cracks me up is the bit with the lamp. The lamp is going... and Bruce Campbell's kind of mimicking. It's bobbing up and down as it's laughing. It's one of my favourite scenes in the whole film. Very, very slapstick. This one is much more slapstick than the first one. A lot more comedy than the first one. But it's that perfect balance of comedy and horror. Something that kind of shifted the other way going into the third one, but we'll get there in a minute. But anyway, again, much like the first one, the film moves along at quite a clip. It's only 90 minutes long. I say that nowadays, like this is a thing. You know, we're so used to, in 2023, movies being 2-3 hours long, that we have to point out that these are short films. Considering, like, at the time, these were seen as the industry standard, hour and a half, 90 minutes. Now, unless you're like over 2 hours, nobody gives a shit. Nobody will watch it. So, you know, we'll watch it on the background. Anyway, tangent, that's for another show. But yeah, Evil Dead 2, it's definitely the best one in the franchise, she says. In my opinion, it's the best one. It's got the best gore, it's got the best lines, it's got Bruce Campbell gearing up, mounting a chainsaw to his stump of a hand that he cut off, and then he says, groovy. And I'm just, that melts me in all the right places every damn time. And cameo from Ted Raimi playing Henrietta in the big fat suit. We all know that scene. I swallow your soul, I swallow your soul. Swallow this. Boom. There are so many quotable lines from this film. It popped up in video games across the generations. Duke Nukem famously said, "Hail to the King." That's another one of the famous lines that Bruce Campbell has uttered. You know, just, if you've not seen Evil Dead 2, I highly recommend you go and see it. There is so many iconic things about this film on its own. Okay? Now, spoiler alert, the ending. The ending sees our hero, Bruce Campbell, Mr. Ashley, I think it's Joanna Williams or Joan Williams. It mentions it in Ash vs. Evil Dead. Anyway, Ashley J. Williams gets sucked through a portal in space and time and ends up in the 1300s, where, if you were paying attention earlier in the film when they were looking through the lost pages of the Necronomicon, there's a picture of a quite blatantly chainsaw arm, shotgun holding Ash in that time period. it's so like if you're paying attention, you will know, you will see the ending coming. Like the minute that portal starts opening and he flies through it, you're like, oh, he's gonna end. Yeah, self-fulfilling prophecy kind of bullshit. We get it. But anyway, he ends up in 1300s and he's hailed as the savior from the skies, come to deliver them from the Deadites. Cameo by Sam Raimi right there. And then, as true to form, we go into
Hail to the king, baby.
The Evil Dead 3, Army of Darkness, or as it was marketed in a lot of places as Bruce Campbell versus the Army of Darkness. That's how the credits kind of roll it. But yeah, there's two different versions of this film. There's the US theatrical version with the happy ending, and then there's the director's cut with the he fucked up again ending. But again, much like it does with the second one following on from the first one, there's a slight bit of retconning. He lands, they don't see him as the savior, they see him as one of the enemy, and they arrest him, they capture him, and they go to send him into the pit, where he's going to fight a Deadite. Okay then, so they change things up again to make the story flow a little bit, but I mean, I suppose if they'd accepted him from the savior as straight on, could have been a bit of a boring film. You know, you had to see him gain their trust kind of thing, and he kind of does, with his boomstick. But this one, like I was saying earlier, the perfect balance between horror and comedy, this one definitely goes the other way with it. It's more comedy than it is horror. There are some gory moments, there are some scary moments, but overall it's played for laughs, and I think that if you're watching all of them in a row, like I did for this video, I watched these 4 films back to back for this video, and I did definitely notice that as good as the third one is, do not get me wrong, I am not saying it's a bad film, I'm not. It's a very, very good film. The problem is if you're doing a series watch and you get to this point, you're laughing more than you are scared or grossed out. You are laughing more. And I think that's a tonal shift that, given the gaps between each of the films, it kind of works. You know, it hits the right nostalgia beats, but it also does something new, but it's more funny than it is scary. And for me, the first one is hard horror, with some very dark comedy moments that pop up here and there. The second one is a perfect balance of horror and comedy. This one definitely goes the other way. And, oof, don't get me wrong, there's some brilliant lines in it. There's a bit where a mini Ash that was comes out of a mirror. If you've not seen it, go and watch the film. There's a scene where a mini Ash comes out of a mirror, gets put down his throat, grows another Ash out of him, like starts as an eye on his shoulder, which is brilliant special effects, by the way. He actually like looks at his shoulder and there's an eye blinking in his shoulder, and it's very believable. I think it was K&B Effects. Fucking hell yes. Brilliant work by you guys. And I will say that about all of these films, is that the practical special effects, you know, if you're a fan of the channel, if you've watched me on here before, you know I love, and I mean absolutely love, practical effects over CGI. Even stop motion I prefer over CGI. And this film definitely got it. But anyway, so an evil Ash grows out of our hero Ash. And there's a bit where he's sort of doing this Irish dance and he's punching him and he's saying, "You're goody little two shoes, punching him. Now, this is what kind of annoys me slightly. I originally saw the director's cut first, and this line was missing from the director's cut. As he's getting punched in the face, good Ash pulls his shotgun and sticks it right under Bad Ash's nose. Kind of gives him a little nod in the theatrical version, pulls the trigger, and boom! Bad Ash goes like a backflip into a tree and crashes into the ground. And our hero Ash steps forward and in the US theatrical version says one of my favourite lines in the whole franchise. Good, bad, I'm the guy with the gun. But in the director's cut, for some reason, they went with the much more generic line after he pulls the trigger. He's done the backflip, he's hit the tree. Bruce Campbell steps forward and goes, "I ain't that good." Now, please, viewers, tell me in the comments which one you think works better. I mean, don't get me wrong, the director's cut does have some more story bits in it that make you go, that makes a bit more sense now. But other scenes are just extended, other scenes are shortened, certain great comedic lines are taken out of it. But yeah, anyway, so, premise of the film, Ash is in the past, he's got to get home, he needs the book to get home, the Necronomicon Ex Mortis, because they renamed it in the second one. I didn't touch upon that in the second one, I should have, stupid me. But in the second film, Evil Dead 2, they renamed the book to the Necronomicon Ex Mortis. I don't know why they renamed it. Apparently, from what I've heard in the new film, there are 3 books, which is alluded to in this film as well. So maybe each one is a different text. Maybe why it's a different book in the first one to even the rest of the series, apart from the remake. We'll get there in a minute. I don't know. I can't answer that question because I don't know. I didn't write the films. I wish I did, but I didn't. Anyway, Evil Dead 3. Ash gets the book, screws up in true Ash fashion, recites the wrong words when collecting the book, which is a nod, wink, wink to The Day the Earth Stood Still with Klaatu Barada Necto. He says it wrong, claims the book. The army of the dead rise. His evil Ash rises and is the leader of said army. They want the book. And a big battle, which I will say is incredibly well filmed. The special effects, the puppet work with the skeletons, the suit work from the, I think it was believed dancers that they hired to play the skeleton army in the suits. So yeah, you know, it was all very, very well done. The battle scene is very, very well done. And then we get to the ending. And again, here we go. Director's cut, there's 2 different endings. In the US theatrical cut, Ash takes the potion, wakes up in his own time, and he goes to work back at his old job, S-Mart. Shop Smart, Shop S-Mart. Quotable lines again. But, I didn't like that ending. Because it's like, he gets back to his own time, what's he going to do? Okay, we do find out in Ash vs. Evil Dead later on down the line that we find out exactly what happened. But there was a big gap between the end of this film and the start of the TV show. There's a big gap. There's like 20-something years gap. We didn't know, as fans, we didn't know. And it's like, seeing that ending, it's like, well, if he got back to his own time, what's he going to do? Go around telling these stories, making people think that he's bonkers. You know, it's just... The director's cut, though, has Ash take 1 more drop than is required. And ends up 100 years into the future. Now, I think that would have been a much better premise. Like, the Deadites have taken over and he's got to fight back, which, again, Ash vs. Evil Dead, we'll get there. But it's very much like, I would have much preferred to see a sequel to that ending, not the one that we got. But, anyway, so, going with the original ending, the canon ending, if you want to call it that, Ash ends up back in his own time. The Deadites are back, he fights them, and then, as the film ends, he says, "Hail to the king, baby," gives a girl a big snog. The film ends. And then we have... That's right, Ash vs. Evil Dead, the TV series. I'm going to do the remake separately. I'm going to do it on this episode, but it's going to be its own little thing. Now, Ash vs. Evil Dead had 3 seasons over on, I think it was Star? I could be wrong. But it was on a streaming service, let's put it that way. And it did good. It did pretty good. The first season was very, very good. Very back to what we wanted from Ash, which was him, the book, the Deadites, his chainsaw, his broomstick, doing what he does best. And it did that. You had supporting cast from the likes of Lucy Lawless, Xena herself. I'm not going to go over the story too much because it's still kind of a new thing and not many people have sat and watched the whole series because it is like 30 hours or something like that for the whole 3 seasons. It's a very long watch. I've, again, just recently finished a rewatch of it. And it is very good. The second season brings in Lee Majors as his dad, as Ash's dad, but Is it Buck? Brock. Brock Williams, sorry. Brock, what the fuck am I now? Anyway, Brock Williams. Yeah, so it's good. It's really good. Again, though, once you got to the third season, things started to get a little bit. I think Sam Raimi struggles with threes. You know, Evil Dead 3, Spider-Man 3, Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 3. I know he didn't write them and he didn't direct them and nothing like that. I know, but I think Evil Dead seems to struggle with the number 3. By the time it gets to the third something of an Evil Dead thing, it kind of goes a little bit wonky. I mean, yeah, it was funny, but they introduced another scrape in the barrel, another evil Ash. This one born from his flesh inside of a demon woman. He's got an organic chainsaw for a hand, which would have been fucking awesome to let us see him use that. But he cuts it off, so he can look more like the actual. Great idea squandered. That's all I'm gonna say. And the Knights of Samaria come into it. Yeah, it's a whole big thing. But overall, it's very good. It's very, very enjoyable. Now, that brings us up to...
You are all going to die tonight.
The Evil Dead remake. Now, I've only watched this a couple of times, and I actually skipped it for this video. I probably shouldn't have. But I have seen it before. It follows a lot of the same beats as the original film. Apparently, it is supposed to be in continuity. It's like a same place, different time kind of thing with the rest of the franchise. I don't really know. Again, we'll get to continuity in a minute. It's a little bit wonky, but we'll get to it. So, I mean, it's good for what it is. The special effects are brilliant. There's some CGI that it was could have been done without, but overall, it's a good remake. Although for me personally, it's not a scratch on any of the others. It's good, but only watch it if one of your friends offers to put it on, or they're already watching it when you go around for pizza night, or you're flicking through the TV and it happens to be on. I'd sit and watch it, yeah. As for, tracking it down if you've not watched it, I'd find it on a streaming service. I wouldn't buy them. I already had the Blu-ray before doing this video, so it's good. It's good. Mia is a good character. The bit where she loses her hand, I'm like, oh, here we go. But they didn't do anything with that. And then right as an end credit stinger, you get Ash popping up saying, groovy. Apparently, I did hear rumours that the original kind of hook for the ending was supposed to be the guy that picks her up in the truck at the end is Ash. Apparently that was meant to be a fan theory, or it was something that was discussed during the making of it, that was going to be Bruce Campbell's cameo. He was going to show up at the end, and it was going to spawn its own kind of little thing, and it didn't happen. But anyway, that is pretty much my coverage of the films and the shows. I have not yet seen Evil Dead Rise, but it is on my watch list. I will get around to it when I can. But one final thing we definitely need to cover here is my copy of the Necronomicon Ex Mortis. I picked this up from a local shop by the name of Freak Treat in Burton-upon-Trent. Does all things nerdy, geeky, action figures, anime, shirts, posters, badges, wallets, prop replicas like this, you name it. If it's anything geeky, they have got it. Go and check them out. But I picked this up. This is by Trick or Treat Studios, I do believe. Yes, Trick or Treat Studios. The box is right there. That's the box there. But this book is absolutely wonderful. It feels grotesque, as it should. And if you open it up, you can see that each of the pages is printed and looks like it did in the film. But yeah, you have some of the images from the films. Some added stuff, some extra bits. I mean, it is just absolutely amazing. I would love love to take this to a convention. Maybe if Bruce Campbell's there, I could get him to sign it. 'Cause, I mean, how cool would it be to have my own Necronomicon that is signed by Ashley J. Williams? I mean, come on. Hello. But anyway, I may take a quick, deeper look at this book, show you all the pages. Okay, so here we are with a closer look at the Necronomicon. As you can see, there's the front, there's the back, and we'll have a quick flick through the pages. You've got the first page. I'll try and get them both in camera at once. We can do this a little bit quicker. I only want this to be a quick look at everything that's in the book. Some of the stuff you'll see is in the film, not all of it. But I'm very, very happy with this purchase. Like I said in the video, I do hopefully want to get it signed by the likes of Bruce Campbell, or really anyone who worked on the film. If they're at conventions and things like that that I can get to, I will take this and I will get it signed. There you go. The one thing I'd like to know, to go along with this, is there the missing pages? You know, in the second film where they've got the little glass case with the spare pages? I'd love to see if I could get hold of that. The missing Necronomicon pages. Basically, Evil Ed there and Evil Ash. There we go. Trying to get through this a little bit quicker. Don't want this video to be too long inside of another video, but here we go. There you go, that is the Necronomicon Ex Mortis. There you go. Book of the Dead, everyone. But for now, that has been my little review. Review, she says. That is my little look back on the Evil Dead franchise so far. Now, quick little channel update. I have been away for a good long while. Now, in that time while I've been away, as you can see from my table back here, back over there, I have been working on some masks, like this one. I do intend on selling some of them. I will I will put links in the description and things like that to places where you can buy them if you're interested. But the big thing coming to the channel is, coming in the next few weeks, there will be the return of Hun Your Geek is showing, hosted by myself and the wonderful random guy Jessup Braithwaite. I know there's quite a few people out there looking forward to that. And also coming from yours truly, there's going to be a couple of new shows. I'm going to be taking a look at more horror-themed action figures in Violet's Collectibles Reviews, of VCR for short. And I'm going to be doing a couple of more videos along these kind of lines, where I take a particular horror film and I do a deep dive on the story. I talk in depth about the story, the characters, the character motivations, all that kind of thing. That will be coming soon. I'm not sure when, as it's going to take me a while to kind of build up each episode, but I've got a few in the bag. They will be getting uploaded. And that show is going to be called The Wonderful Miss Violet's Double D's. But until then, mwah, remember, if you can't be good, be twisted. Don't get mad, baby. Get sadistic. Love y'all, and see you next time. Bye.
If your path demands you to walk through hell,
And I'm feeling
walk in as if you own the place.